Just after 25 minutes to 8. And right, time now for a different segment tonight. I'm going to be speaking to Mr. Elmond Khoza. And we're talking about a luxury timepiece brand called Nkhari. And I just found out that the meaning of the word Nkhari means time. Now, I know the meaning of time is obviously iskati, but anyway, I learned something new about the Tsonga people. So tonight, obviously, we're talking about the founder of the proudly South African luxury timepiece brand called Nkhari. And I must say, it really looks beautiful. I'm intrigued by it. And we welcome the founder of this magnificent brand, Mr. Elmond Khoza. Good evening, Mr. Elmond Khoza. Welcome to Salam Media and the Friday Night Live show.
Good evening, Mr. Takolia. Thanks
Yes,
very much
correct.
for the invite.
Wow,
And
man.
yeah, I'm very excited to be here. And good evening to the listeners and viewers.
Awesome stuff. Thanks for obviously taking the time.
Mm,
I learned something obviously in Tsonga, I understand, called Nkari
yeah,
means time, right? Now, I've been to
absolutely.
some of the Tsonga areas, be it Tula Mahashe and Kanyamazan and all of those areas out in
Yes, yes,
Mpumalanga.
yes.
Wow, man. I want to talk about your journey coming from a Tsonga tribe, etc. I must say the scenery in those areas, wow.
Yeah,
I've had the privilege of obviously traveling, in the real bush itself.
yes,
The
yes.
fruits just grow so wild. It's amazing, a beautiful area.
Yeah,
Now I want to talk about your inspiration behind this timepiece. I mean, coming from a Tsonga tribe there in the north of South Africa, and then obviously traveling through the continent, you mentioned, is when this whole thing began. Talk to us about your journey here, because I'm really inspired by this.
sure. Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to share the journey.
Awesome.
So you know, I always ask where do I begin, because yeah, the journey started even before I was born, and that's where probably I would like to start. I think
Mhm.
the journey from Carry Timepieces actually started when my dad chose to enroll for a watchmaking and watch repair course in
Okay.
Pretoria in the early, I mean in the late 70s that was. And he was, I mean he was fortunate to actually get a qualification, a diploma in watchmaking and watch repairs.
Mm-hmm.
And at that given point, I mean, up to this point, if anything, South Africa never really had a history of watchmaking. So he spent all his career being a watch repairer.
Okay.
So I'll fast forward to when I was born. So later when I get born, I was born in 1988. So it was 5 years after my dad has graduated, starting his career in watch repair.
Okay.
And when I was around 6, I remember vividly he handed me a toolkit, and like any father, he'd like his trade to his eldest son.
Right.
And from that point on, I remember I had a watch on my wrist almost all my life. I mean, early life that is. But my relationship with watches, it was a love hate relationship, because I felt
Okay.
because I'll have a watch on my wrist, so I wouldn't have any reason to miss my curfew or be late for anything. So I understood very
Oh, so you're
well.
always on time, huh?
Yeah,
Nkari.
yeah, yes, yes, yes. So as a young man, I never understood, because other kids could, play an extra 5, 10 minutes and get
Mm.
home late. But I mean, fast forwarded to when I graduated. So I ultimately went to varsity, where I studied electrical engineering. Yeah, I mean, someone would have expected me to have studied watchmaking like my dad, but yeah, I took my own journey that
Your
was.
own path.
And
Yeah.
yes. So as a student at Wits, I had a couple of friends who started, collecting watches, not so expensive, but nice looking watches, and they had a problem always when the watch stopped working. And they would take it. There was an old man who used to fix watches in Braamfontein, and they would take their watches to him. And there was a point whereby this other close friend of mine took his watch to this old man, and the old man told him that he can't fix it. He must take it back to the manufacturer for it to be fixed there. And I remember telling my friend, look, man, invest in a toolkit for fixing watches and I can fix your watch. And yeah, it was a big joke, you know. He has never seen me really doing it. But rest assured, he actually laughed at me. So I felt compelled. I went to buy a toolkit and I fixed that watch. And from that point on, I became his go-to guy in terms of watches. So I started fixing his watches. And I started fixing other friends' watches at varsity until we graduated. And there was a point whereby I ran a hashtag 2,000 watches. That was when I thought, you know what, let me take this hobby a notch up. So I wanted to fix 2,000 watches in 12 months. That is.
Wow.
And yeah, I
Okay.
mean, we actually were able to do that. I was able to fix 2,000 watches. It was in 2017 that I actually ran that hashtag.
Well, look at you, time driven and time yes. Hey, okay, inspiration,
Yeah,
man. Talk about
yeah,
being driven.
yeah.
Now, obviously,
Not so much so, too many coincidences, but yeah. I mean,
well, now obviously, in Nkhari and the brand, I want to talk about the timepiece.
yeah,
Being exceptionally and fairly crafted, right? I must say, looking at the timepieces, wow, it's beautiful. I mean,
thanks very
oh,
much.
the color, the straps, man, it goes on, guys. Go onto the website, which we obviously are going to share in the background. Obviously, the viewers can see the different timepieces. Now I want to talk about the men's and the ladies' varieties as well. And I see
Yeah.
something that you've got called the City of Gold, and you're paying homage to obviously the African cities. Now, talk to us
Yeah.
about this and this whole concept and idea, because the City of Gold 2.0, the one I'm looking at, wow,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
really represents Gauteng.
Yes, yes. I'm wearing one as we speak because I'm based in Gauteng as well. So it happens to be a watch that I kind of like
Okay,
because it
well, I'll give
represents
you my
my
address, or well, my
experience.
studio operator will send the address. Yeah, so I'll meet the take a lot guy tomorrow morning. It's fine. It's okay.
Yeah, we can chat about that. So I mean, how the watches actually got named.
Mm,
I graduated in electrical engineering. Very fortunate to get a job doing solar solutions. So I started
mm,
traveling the continent, actually installing solar systems.
okay.
And as I was traveling the continent, there was something about cities in general, but this time around African cities, whereby there was always a feel that African cities have a soul, they have a life of their own, they're alive. You go
Okay.
to a city in Africa, you can actually feel,
Now,
it's soul,
which were
it's
some of the cities that
vibrant.
you've visited in?
Yeah, so I've been to Dar es Salaam
Okay.
in Tanzania. I've visited a number of cities in Kenya. Obviously, most cities as well here in Southern Africa, Zimbabwe. I've been to Bulawayo, and Zambia as well. I've visited. I've been to Lagos as well. So I was very fortunate to be able to visit some of these cities. And another thing is, in South Africa I was also well traveled because of the work I was doing. So you could
Mm.
almost like sometimes relate cities, like this city feels like Durban. And it was about that, it's about the aura and the people in the city, and how it feels really.
The-
That's why I say cities are actually alive. You can most certainly feel something for a city.
well,
So
I'm looking at the Itequini 2.0 right now, and I must say, wow,
yeah.
it's really elegant. Now, there are many different, obviously, variants that you've got: the City of Gold Black, you've got the
Yes.
Grey, you've
Yeah.
got the Capital range as well, and the
Yes.
Capital Black and Brown.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that variant, that range as well.
So the variants, how it came about. If anything, our first watch that we had was City of Gold, just City of
Hmm.
Gold. It was just black and gold. And if anything, the gold really represented the, the the gold exploits of yesteryears that were happening in Johannesburg. And if anything, the brown, the black started really being a representation of the industrialization that came as a result. I mean, Joburg really was one of the most industrialized cities, not only in South Africa, but in the
in the
whole of Africa.
continent. Yes.
Yes. So we tried to bring that into a design. But
Okay.
also Johannesburg is probably one of the richest cities in the continent. So we wanted it to be elegant, to be striking.
Now I notice you bring a lot of, or rather,
As a
you
product.
infusing a lot of African flair to everyday lifestyle, and you bring in obviously
Yeah.
African cities alive on the product, obviously in a very elegant manner, I must say, in the
Yeah.
timepieces that I'm
Yeah.
seeing. Right.
Thanks,
Now
man.
your designs follow obviously, I'd say, a personal choice, and obviously they come in stainless steel cases, right? And you've got different
Yes,
types
yes.
of straps. Do you
Yeah.
also do custom designs as well?
That's something that we have coming in the future. We're very excited about that, because we're also saying that cities don't mean the same thing to everyone. What a city means to me is probably not what it means to you. We can share a few characteristics which are similar,
Mm-hmm.
but that chance for someone to actually build their own city the way they actually perceive that particular city is going to be very important for us in the near future. So we're definitely working on that, and we will be introducing it probably in the coming months or so.
Okay. Now,
Mm.
looking at obviously timepieces and manufacturing, these type of elegant timepieces, right? I want to ask
Mm.
something important here. What exactly goes into the whole design process? I mean, obviously, you mentioned you're a qualified engineer, right? So I
Yes.
don't think that would be very difficult for you. But what goes into manufacturing these magnificent looking timepieces?
So I mean, first things first, I should say that it's very disappointing that in 2021 or 2021 there isn't actually watch component manufacturers in the African continent. Um,
Mm.
and as it makes it very difficult as a watch brand that is firstly to leverage or piggyback on what's there. So we end up really designing parts such that they get made elsewhere. So most of our, or all of our parts, so to say, with the exception of leather straps, are
Mm-hmm.
actually coming from abroad.
They're
And
outsourced, right?
yes, yes. So, I mean, one of our biggest goals as a company is to ensure that, that's our midterm, if anything, goal is to ensure that most of the components that goes into our watches actually get manufactured locally in the African continent, a very mineral-rich African continent.
Of
And
course,
what
definitely.
makes a watch elegant, what makes luxury, it's premium products. And we believe that, with what we have in Africa, we can definitely start, clawing into that industry in a way that has never been seen before across the globe.
Now, in terms of obviously from a competitor point of view, right? Obviously, coming from a background from a very early age with regards to timepieces, what do you see or what do you notice the African market, obviously from a consumer perspective, would prefer in terms of obviously timepieces, and where do you think there's a opportunity for other companies alike and other countries, like on the African continent, who can perhaps take advantage of this?
Yeah. So what has been happening in recent times is that with the middle class, African middle class, growing at a
Mhm.
very fast rate, there's an opportunity for premium and very innovative or creative type of products. And as a result, that's why we went into, we didn't go for cheaper watches. We could have come up with a very cheap watch whereby, it could be hitting at the very bottom, a 500 rand watch. but we believe that, with standards of living improving, there is a need, for premium, and creative, products for this particular market, African market to be specific. So that's what we've been trying to do, to say we don't need to go get creativity elsewhere. There's so much creativity in Africa. The only thing that we have to get right is the premium side of things. And
Now,
when we talk premium, I mean, we have minerals, which you can attest to the fact that there's plenty of that as well. So we're very well positioned to go for that particular market.
now you mentioned something about the mentality, right? Now let's talk about, obviously, from a background, being obviously from a African young black businessman, in this regard, and obviously some of the challenges you faced, also mentality. How do you think basically people can adapt to this, and where do you think there's a lack of the same understanding from that regard,
Yeah.
from a African perspective?
Yeah, you know what, the question you're asking is very important, because it hit us, if anything, before we even started with this brand. So it's not only the layman or the people who are supposed to buy, but also brand specialists. So we got a brand
Okay.
specialist to help us to name the watches, right? We got someone and we paid them, if anything, to help us name the watches. And we were very clear that we want the name to be African, because the brand represents Africa. And he was very sarcastic, and he told us, Africans and time, those two things don't
Well,
really.
it's not only Africans. There is a famous saying, Indian time, and
Yeah,
many
yeah,
viewers will know this. No, XMA bro, I'm now there, and
yeah,
then
yeah,
2 days go by. I mean,
you know
yeah,
so that's what he said, to
yeah.
say, if you're gonna come up with a timepiece brand, try something German or Swiss. I mean, Swiss is very typical, obviously. And if anything, he reminded us of the say of its African time. So we're like, okay, we're gonna take whatever it is that he was saying, and we're gonna turn it around. And rest assured, we went and we chose a very African name. I mean, a Tsonga name for our brand, and for our slogan, we started using "It's African Time," and it was for everyone to ask themselves questions, to say, is it African time because we're late, or it's African time to say, really, it is Africa's time to shine. And that's how we turned it around. And it's the same, with the consumer out there. We do a lot of education and trying to show people that, look, you're not talking any cheap, inferior product because it has an African name, or that it's made from Africa.
You
We're
obviously want to
talking premium.
change the mindset and the perception
Yes,
that people always look at. Ah, it's inferior quality, or
yes, yes.
there is that
I mean,
stigma.
we've been in the industry for 27 months to date. We've never had not even a single return, nothing,
Okay.
zero, no return of product. And that, the more time goes, is the more it gives us confidence, because we have had 30% returning clients as well. To say, I've owned the watch for 2 years. Can I buy another one, or can I buy for my partner, and so on and so forth? Because through owning the product, they are able to gauge the quality. At first it's just to support a local business, but in future it becomes buying value. That is, and yeah, I should say, that's one thing we're proud of. I Oh, yeah, you were a bit mute there.
Oh, thanks, Sadek and my team. I was saying, whether you are in Matsulu or whether you are in Tula Mahashe or Emoyeni,
Yeah.
I'm sure obviously people are very proud, and of obviously the homage that you've obviously paid in the background you come from. Now, when it comes to obviously being your brand, and looking at obviously the compounding long-term mentality which you've shared. Obviously, you're looking at about way more than 10 years from now, right? You've obviously come from 27 months in a family background of this. Where do you see your brand in the next 10 years? I mean, apart from fashion runways, stores, would you be having maybe flagship stores? Do you see this, on a much more broader scale? Are there going to be any more surprises we could be looking forward to maybe later in the year, coming from your design perspective?
Absolutely. So as I mean, one of the things we're trying to do is to infuse African flair. There's a lot of creativity and flair coming from Africa, and we took it and we put it onto watches. And with watches, it's something that's developing. Or obviously, they started. We will have flagship stores. I call them boutique stores because they will have to really meet that standard. Where we want to really intensify is on the online platform. I know luxury online, people don't see how those come together, but we believe that on the retail or flagship store, brick and mortar, it's very difficult to actually compete with the guys who have been doing it for hundreds and hundreds of years. But with the online platforms and different experiences, everyone is trying to figure it out, and that's where we feel like we can try bring African luxury on online platforms. So in future, we can say it's not gonna end with watches. It's not gonna end with just flagship stores. We're looking to find ways in which we can bring premium and creativity to create this luxury products. For now it's watches, but we hope in future we can add more products which really represent us as Africans, but also they can be of very high quality.
Well, Nakirata, nice things. We all like we all like the good things in life.
Yes, yes.
Look, I've been fortunate enough to obviously interview and host in studio, other African brothers who obviously are entrepreneurs and manufacturers of their own brands, be it a luxury shoe brand like I think it was Drip and Patu, etc. What do you think is behind this? Would you say a trend or like a emergence rather, or motivation of a lot of African innovation and businessmen coming up now? As you say, it is Africa's time to shine. Obviously, we've come a long way thus far, but now there is a trend, be it tech startups, be it luxury brand startups, whatever the case may be. I mean, do you see a difference now in the mentality and the drive? I think it's all about the drive and motivation. Would you agree on that? Where do you think, obviously, this stems from?
I think it comes with consciousness. Most of it comes from the consciousness of the new generation. I mean, we have a generation currently which, it's a generation which is very proud of who they are, and therefore they want to be proud on what they were. They want to be proud on products they use, the technology, and so on and so forth. So it's no longer about seeing it on TV being used in America, therefore it must be good. Now it's about the story that accompanies that, and the closer the story is to you, the more the products start resonating. You don't use based on the fact that influencers are actually using it, and the influencers now, as you might have seen, our influencers are now more people around us than people abroad. So that's what's changing. We are looking inward now instead of looking outwards, and that's helping the movement.
Basically, people are actually now thinking out of the box,
Absolutely.
and aren't so narrow-minded. And I guess, well, it's safe to say that they've become more brave in terms of taking that risk and that opportunity, embracing it. Whereas before they'd be like, okay, you know what, shouldn't I don't know if I'll be able to handle it. And I think also it's time where people are obviously looking at opportunities and wanting to come up with their own style and share that. And I think Africa has got so much of talent, and South Africa as well. Out in Toyando, I'm known as Mashudu, but anyway.
Mashudu, that's a good one.
Yes, yeah. Hey, I'm gonna copyright if you make a watch. Hey, you and I, we're gonna talk.
I'll make a watch.
Why is that? Yeah. No, man. But anyway, Elman, it's been great hosting you this evening. It brings us to obviously 8 p.m. There's so much I'd love to chat about, but that's for another time.
Thanks so much.
Obviously, the viewers need to go onto the website. You can share your socials with us as well.
Yes. So in terms of our socials on Facebook, we go by Nkhari Timepieces with an S at the end. Twitter, it's Nkhari Timepiece with no S. Same with Instagram, it's Nkhari Timepiece
Underscore timepiece, yes, and it's
yes.
spelled Nkarhi, not like curry, like tarkari. But anyway, I would love a curry right now. But yes, I am in a hurry. But anyway, Elman, it's been great hosting you, my man. Big ups to you, man.
Thanks so
Your
much.
timepieces really look good. I mean, Sadek will send you my address. Take a lot is not far, obviously, and yeah, I saw something I like there.
Thanks so
Yes,
much.
we were going to have a
Thanks
lovely
so
chat,
very
my
much for
brother.
hosting me.
Awesome stuff. Elman, big
I'm
up to you, my man.
excited. Enjoy
Have
the
a
rest of
lovely
your
evening.
evening.
You too,
Yeah.
my man. And you know what? All the best with your endeavors moving forward. I want to see this brand grow. And, inshallah, the Almighty knows best. Have a lovely one, man. Stay motivated.
Same to you. Thanks so much.
Cheers, man.
Cheers, cheers.
That's
God bless.
that was obviously Nkhari manufacturer and founder. Wow! If you've had the opportunity to look at the interview and the video, well, you should. You can rewind. Wow, the timepieces are amazing, man. I mean, there's this Itequini 2.0, and there's so many. Oh, I want to actually. I see the capital red, the capital yellow. I don't know, Sarek, which one you want, eh? It's on me. Anyway, it brings us up to 8 p.m. and it's time now for the sports segment. We're talking football. Yes, the Euro final, Italy, England. Your thoughts, your comments. Please interact with us. 061 766 0355. It's time for kickoff. We'll be back after this.